Tax time shouldn't feel like punishment. And if it does, you're probably making these common mistakes. Let's fix it together. Hi, my name is Yolanda, and I am the virtual bookkeeper here at Osborne Virtual Bookkeeping Solutions. And welcome to my channel. On today, we are going to be talking about the common mistakes that entrepreneurs make in their business as it relates to bookkeeping. Okay, so if you see me looking down, I have some notes prepared so that I don't ramble, and I want to make sure that I stay on flow. So we're going to kick it off with the first part, not keeping your bookkeeping up to date. So this one is a really big one because most entrepreneurs really don't know that bookkeeping is a all year round process. Most entrepreneurs think that bookkeeping is just a task that you do at the time of tax season, and that's the misconception that everybody falls into if you're not aware about bookkeeping or just entrepreneurship. If you're not well vetted, or if you're new to the community of entrepreneurship, you will think that, oh, well, bookkeeping is just for my taxes. No, it is a year-round process. And as you follow my channel, I will break down specifics of why you need to make sure you are staying current with your bookkeeping, things that you can do with your bookkeeping year round, and things that you can help make your bookkeeping process actually easy. Okay. And so again, just reverting back on, not being up to date and waiting till tax time. Honestly, if you're waiting till tax time to get your bookkeeping together, you've already missed out on tax planning, which could actually lower your tax liability when it's time for you to file. Especially if your business is making, good money, and it would just make sense. You would want to know the loopholes and the legal strategies that you can actually do. Relying on your bank statements is not justification of bookkeeping. That does not give a big picture of how your business is performing. It just tells you what the balance is. So that's one common mistake, and that's just for not being up to date. The second one is mixing business with personal. Man, oh man. This one is a very common thing that entrepreneurs do, but it's definitely a mindset thing. Like, you definitely have to remember to treat your business like a business, and that means you have to separate your personal from your business. And how do you do that? You need to actually have a business account separate from your personal account. Now, some people may think, well, I can't afford to get a business account because some banks require you to deposit a certain amount in your business account. So if you're brand new and just getting started in business, you may not have those funds. However, you still can open up an account that you can use specifically for business. And once you get the appropriate funds to open up the business at the bank of your preference, then there you go. So there are ways to work around it until you are in position. So we can't keep with the excuses, okay? And then also, there are cons with commingling. There are no pros with commingling. Cons are disadvantages that can actually hurt your business, and it can actually cost you more than what you pretty much know. So one of the common cons is that if your business is excuse me, is registered as an LLC, if you are commingling funds, and God forbid if somebody tries to take you to court, they're going to sue the business because the LLC gives you legal protection for that. It's not a tax strategy. I want to say that for the people in the back. A LLC is not a tax strategy. It offers legal protection so that if someone come after you, after your business, they can't come after your personal assets. However, if they can show or they can prove that you have been using, your business funds as personal, then what you're doing is actually breaking that legal protection that is given for your business. So don't do it. Just don't do it. And if you are doing it, please stop. Just figure out a way to separate your transactions, even if that means you have to take out a significant withdrawal so that you're not actually constantly keep going into your business account, because it makes you look negligent. It doesn't make you look responsible, if anything, especially when you're trying to get funding or thinking of getting like a, support. Let me just say that the bigger picture, you're trying to get support. And when they look at your financials, they can tell. They can tell. That's the whole purpose of having the reports. So that's one of the second thing, the one of the second main things that people tend to do. They commingle. Okay. So let's see. The third thing is going to be not tracking income from multiple platforms such as Stripe, Cash App. We have Zelle, Square. So what I mean by not capturing everything. So when you're using, I'm gonna use Stripe for an example. If you receive a payment and Stripe is processing it, Stripe does not share the fee that they take out. They only share the amount after the fee is taken out. So that amount is what actually hits your bank statements. So what your bank statement is not showing the bigger picture, which is only showing the net. So you need to actually capture the gross, the merchant fee, and the net. That shows the big picture of the whole transaction. Most entrepreneurs don't know this, but that's why you hire a bookkeeper like myself or an accounting professional that does know this information. This is one of the reasons why having entrepreneurs do their own bookkeeping is not something that we advocate, because the entrepreneur is not thinking about, oh, I need to make sure I capture those Stripe transactions. Like, they're not thinking about that. They're just trying to make sure that the bank is connected and that the transactions are flowing and that they can actually see what they need to see. They're not thinking about the little details that we are trying to know. So that's just another thing, not tracking. And that also, if you're not tracking it appropriately, they could put you in a risk of underreporting, because these platforms report the net, and the net is what's showing on your bank statement. If you're going solely based off of what your bank statement is providing, when you get ready to report to the IRS already knows what you receive. Excuse me. Because these platforms also have to report to the IRS. But what they're reporting to the IRS is not the net. They're reporting the gross of what you receive before they take out their merchant fee. So that's the gist of it, which is why you have to make sure that you capture the small details, okay? So the fourth thing, overlooking deductible expenses. So if you're a service provider and you travel a lot, you may want to make sure that you're tracking, how often you're having to go for work as it relates to the business, not personal now. And they do have apps in place that can actually track when you are traveling, and they can actually integrate with your accounting software. It just depends on your preference. So this video is not sponsored, so I'm not going to speak on who you should go with or what you should do. I'm going to suggest that you do your research and see what works for you, because everybody doesn't use the same software, and that's just the gist of it, okay? But yeah, make sure you are tracking your travel. Another overlooked deductible expense is home office. So a lot of us, like myself, this is my home office. Most of us have offices in our home, and there are expenses that you can deduct from that, and that is something that you will speak with your tax professional. This is not the video to do a deep dive into that, but I'm just speaking in general because everybody's situation is different. So that's why you need to make sure you reach out to your tax professional and see what's appropriate for you in your business, okay? And then also, like if you have contractors, you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping up with the contractors that you're paying, because you're going to have to offer issue a 1099, okay? And that is something that we'll talk more into in a separate video. This video is just more general and broad, okay? Also, subscriptions. So with technology being like it is, we all are have at least have one or two subscriptions. And if you are a remote based type entrepreneur, then you definitely have some subscriptions. We all have a website subscription. Some of us may have a CRM subscription. There would be subscriptions for social media tools or for different things. Okay, we are in a tech era, so there are definitely a lot of different tools that are used in our business that consist of a subscription. You definitely want to make sure you're keeping track of that, because you could be paying for something that may not actually be serving your business. So that's why it's best to stay current with your bookkeeping, so you can actually make sure that you're tracking the things that's costing you money in your business. And oftentimes people underestimate the subscription part, because it's an expense, and it could be a huge expense if you're not careful. Okay, so the next thing, number 5, not saving receipts or proper documentation. So because we are in a tech era and most transactions are done electronically or online, you can easily set up a folder in your email. So when you're doing a transaction, you can save that receipt from that transaction into the folder of your email. Believe it or not, most entrepreneurs do not keep up with no receipts, because they just feel like, well, I can just call up my credit card company, or I can just get my bank statement. And honestly, that's not sufficient enough, because that's more work and investigation that your bookkeeper or your accounting professional is probably going to charge you more for having to look through all that information. Now, keep in mind, when you outsource your bookkeeping, you are paying for someone's time. So when they give you advice on how you need to do things, please take heed to that advice, because it's going to help you and save you money. The more time they have to invest in straightening out your bookkeeping, the more it's going to cost you. Okay. So on to the next thing. I was going to make a part 2, but I was like, nah, I'm going to go ahead and just do one video. So the next thing is going to be not setting aside money for taxes. Like, yikes. So I have made sure that anytime I make a sale, I set aside a significant amount. Just because, you know, business is steady, and then there's a slow point. And then even if you have a slow point, you still want to make sure you have those funds set aside. So when it's time to file taxes, that money is already accounted for, and you don't have to worry about that. Now, here's the thing. If you're somebody that tax plan throughout the year, then you're going to this advice would not be sufficient for you, because you already know to put money aside. But most entrepreneurs will think, excuse me, especially their first year, oh, I could just wait till tax time to pay it. And when they get hit with that tax bill, they be like, what the? Yeah, you should have been putting money aside. So make sure you will put money aside this year. If when you're making a sale, every time you make a sale, put some money aside, okay? And also make sure you refer to the IRS guidelines of how much you should be putting aside. I'm not the person that's going to actually give you that advice, because that information is available through the IRS. Also, it also alleviate, surprises with cash flow. Let's just say you're getting ready to file taxes, and you do file taxes, and you're hit with a big tax bill, and you don't have the money. Like, that could put you in a bind. That could set you back. And actually, this is how most entrepreneurs do get setback in their business, because they didn't take setting aside money for taxes serious, and so they're hit with this tax bill that they can't actually pay, and they end up going out of business. That's part of the one of the reasons why they say most business don't make it within the first 5 years. Well, taxes is a big part of that. So don't let that be you this year, okay? So the next thing we're going to talk about, number 7, is ignoring sales tax and local tax obligations. So this is individual based. So you need to check with your local county and states to see what are the guidelines that apply to your business. So every state is not the same. Every state have their own guidelines and their own fees. So make sure you are checking in to make sure that you know what is applicable to your business. You can't say, oh, well, ain't nobody told me. I'm telling you. Okay? Check with your people, check with your county, check with your state, and make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, or you're paying what you're supposed to be paying, or else they may figure out a way to fine you and shut you down. All right. So number 8, misclassifying expenses or income. The average entrepreneur that doesn't know anything about bookkeeping would easily do this. Okay? And the thing of it is that you can easily classify a personal transaction as a business transaction. That's one, which is a huge no-no. All right? And it is common, but I'm telling you, as a voice of reason, please don't do that. That's fraud. All right. The other thing is classifying an asset as an expense. So you need to know what an asset is, and you need to know what an expense is. An asset is what adds value that helps the business make money. Expense takes money away from the business. So that is kind of giving, but you'd be surprised. Most people don't know, and that's okay if you don't know, because no question is a stupid question, and somewhere, somehow, you can always get the answer, okay? So contractor versus employee. Now, if you're at the point where you have employees like a W-2, you would know the difference. But if you're brand new and you don't know what's the difference between a contractor, what's the difference between an employee, a contractor would be someone that you would pay that you would issue a 1099 to, and they will be responsible for paying their own taxes. An employee, you have an actual payroll system in place, and you are taking care of the payroll, the taxes, like the state and the federal. You are responsible for that through your payroll software, and you're taking care of that for that employee. And you also offer them or issue them a W-2 close to tax season. So that's the difference. However, if you are at the point of having employees, you would definitely know the definition between contractor versus employee. But if you're brand new, I just outlined it, okay? And if you aren't certain and you just need more clarification, please follow up with the IRS website. They clearly have it spelled out, the difference. So make sure you get the information from the IRS if you are uncertain about anything business related. They can definitely clarify whatever you have questions about. And let's see, we get to the end. Number 9, no year-end bookkeeping review. So, of course, if you don't have bookkeeping in place, of course, you're not going to have a month-end process. You're just going to have receipts, bank statements, and Stripe reports or cash out reports. You're not going to have no bookkeeping in place. If you do, and you're showing up to your tax preparer, then not only do you have to pay them to prepare your taxes, but you gotta pay them to do your bookkeeping. And I don't know how much tax preparers charge for bookkeeping, but just imagine had you kept your bookkeeping up all year, you wouldn't be paying out that much money. So the point that I'm getting at is that when you wait and say I'm gonna do it later, you're actually costing your business more money. And then some people charge a little bit more during tax time because you're having to get them to do something that would have took all year to compile within a few weeks. So that's very time consuming, and depending on the volume of your business, yeah, it's gonna be a nice little lick they're gonna hit you. So if you're the kind of person that waits till tax season, just go ahead and be prepared to be receiving some big invoices come tax time. Another thing with the no year end bookkeeping is, of course, you're not making sure that your accounts are reconciled. Reconciliation is where you are taking what your bank statement has and you're comparing it to what your accounting software has. This is very important because most people think, oh, I set it and forget it, and my accounting software capture everything. Oh my God. If you really think that you are setting yourself up for a loss, because softwares are supposed to capture transactions, but do they capture 100%? Absolutely not. They do not capture 100%. Most times they capture majority, but they do not capture 100%, which is why you have to double check and make sure that what you see on your bank statement is what reflects in your accounting software, along with catching the little fees with the merchants that you use. That's very important. As your business grow and you become more versed in entrepreneurship, these are things that you will learn as you go. This is not something that is expected for you to know as soon as you say, oh, I'm finna be an entrepreneur. No, entrepreneurship is a learning process. However, I come across a lot of self-employed people that don't have bookkeeping in place and they don't know the basic stuff, and it's only because either they really aren't around people that can share the information with them, or they just really don't know. And that's typical. That is typical. But hey, if you follow my channel, you can't say you don't know, because I'm definitely going to tell you multiple times, okay? And then the last thing is not hiring early enough. A lot of times when we get in business, we trying to DIY, and I get it because your girl is doing it too. However, there comes a point in your business when you have to say, you know what, I got to outsource this so I can make time for other things in my business. So if bookkeeping is not your actual business, and you know that bookkeeping is something that may be something you either find confusing or you don't have the time to do, this will be the best time for you to, hey, book your call. Book your call. Information is going to be in the description. But this will be your time where you need to be like, hey, I may need to go ahead and hire me a bookkeeper or an accounting professional or a financial professional. Depending on what type of business you have and where you are in business, that professional can tell you exactly what you need, and you decide whether or not, hey, if you want to go move forward with it, and make sure you prioritize to pay. Okay? The pay is the big part, not to donate time or volunteer. Make sure you have the money to invest. And if you don't, then guess what? You're going to have to take the time to figure it out, to do it until you can get in position where you can hire. So I hope this information was very helpful. This is information that you can take with you throughout the year, and things that you can prevent from doing so it doesn't cost you more throughout the year. I promise you, if you are doing any of these things, it is costing you money. And you're not going to see it right away, but when that time comes, trust and believe, you're going to be like, you know what, that girl Yolanda, she did say that. She did speak on it. So if you enjoyed this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And also, I am taking on new clients. So if you want to book a strategy call with me and you don't know, what you should do or where you should start, a strategy call is the best place to start. So that information is going to be in the description below. My calendar is open at this time. So please don't wait till the last minute, because I hate to hit you with an email saying, sorry, my calendar is full. So yeah, just go ahead and book your call. This is your sign. This is your sign. If you've been putting off, this is your sign, okay? So in the meantime, I will see you on the next video, and you be blessed, okay?